Hello and welcome to another episode of Transcontinental Overload. I'm Stephanie, your host, back from a summer in Europe and kind of ready for my first full season here in New Jersey. So yes, this is my first episode in absolute ages. I know it's been a minute, so thank you so much for being here. I know what it's like when a podcast just goes radio silent, and I really appreciate the loyalty. I have been pretty busy for those of you who are new on here, I recently moved from Texas to New Jersey, and if you're an expat or even if you have just moved within your own country, moving takes a lot of time and energy, and it all got a little bit too much for me. I don't really want to go into detail on here, but if you are interested in finding out what's been happening, then please feel free to head on over to my blog. I've written a blog post about it, and I'll put the link in the show notes. Recording today's episode has been such a treat for me. I'm talking to Alex, originally from Houston, Texas, who moved to Germany 9 years ago and now lives near Munich with her German husband and her brand new baby son. You know how much I love talking to people who live in places that I know. It just makes me feel so connected. And of course, Alex lives in Bavaria, my old home turf, but she also lived in Austin where she went to college. So we have that in common too. We talk about lots of differences between US and German cultures, but also about the weird and fascinating similarities between Texas and Bavaria, which is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. Anyway, without further ado, here she is. Listen to Alex's story. So welcome, Alex, to Transcontinental Overload. I'm really excited to have you on here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're a new mom, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel honored that you're taking time off to do this interview, but also probably a nice little break to
happy to think about other things and have an adult conversation.
Yeah.
So thanks for the chance.
I'm also really excited because you are in my old hometown. You're in Munich. So I always really enjoy talking to people from back home, even though it's been a while for me. But it just adds a little something. I feel kind of connected to home just by talking to you. So it's really nice for me.
I hope I can help you feel connected. And you also lived in one of my towns, Austin. So we have that in common. So
I kind of
to chat about it.
It's that Texan Bavarian connection, I think, which I feel is very strong. We might talk about that. But and then I left Texas. I really wanted to get you on there while I was still in Texas, but it wasn't meant to be. But, so anyway, we're here now. But so you're in Munich. How did that come about? How does a girl from Texas end up in Munich?
Yeah, great question, and where to begin. So,
we have time.
So I'm originally from Houston, and then I did my bachelor's degree in Austin. And when I was living in Austin, I started traveling Europe with some friends in the summers, and there was something about Munich. I couldn't put my finger on it at the time, but I really at the time was saying there's something in the air. I just love it there. I want to live there. And so when I was thinking about what to do after school, I discovered au pairing, and I decided to do an au pair year since I didn't know what I wanted to do after my studies anyway. But I did not quite make it to Munich there. I ended up in Karlsruhe with my au pair family. And I spent a year there and really loved living in Germany. And during that time, I also discovered that actually I could do a master's degree in Germany for, what is basically free when you compare it to the US.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
System. And that's kind of where I got my ticket to Munich. So I looked at the universities in Munich, and I found a master's program that suited me really well, which was studying technology management. And so I applied there, and then I moved to Munich. That was 2014. Um, and kind of the rest is history. So after my studies, got a job, met my husband, now have a child, a German child, who will also be American. Yeah, I've been in Germany 11 years now.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
so it's very normal. It's not as exciting as it was in the beginning, but I'm kind of excited for the conversation today because it'll make me reflect on, I don't know, some of these funny
Yeah.
intercultural moments.
Oh yes, I bet there are plenty. And but I mean, it sounds like you had a strong connection to Germany to start with. So I mean, out of curiosity, it's sometimes, people, Americans travel Europe after school or during their, you know, break from school. And Germany is not always on the map. I always feel like people go to Italy or Greece and the UK as well. So, but Germany is not necessarily on the map. How did you make the decision to go to Germany or Munich for that matter?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. And I'm trying to remember my exact thought process at the time, but I do recall a couple of things because Italy and Spain and all of these countries were so fun to travel,
Hmm.
but I couldn't quite imagine living there. It
Hmm.
felt like a maybe too big of a change to me.
Hmm.
And also with the language, I mean, I studied Spanish in school, like most Texans.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was somewhere where I felt I could live without being isolated for not
Hmm.
speaking the language. And that was really important when I was thinking about going somewhere for a year. I knew I wasn't going to pick up a language for a year. And okay, now it's 11, but that was not my intention initially. And so I think, yeah, that it was kind of a new culture
Hmm.
with a new language. So I also had scratched English speaking countries off the list, but I didn't want to feel isolated. And I thought kind of like the standard of living was a little closer to what I was used to. And but yeah, I could still learn a new culture and
Hmm.
language and feel at home and still like make friends and go
So,
out.
so it sounds like you did come kind of with a view to spend more time, to not just vacation and, have fun and then go back to the US, but you kind of had that, well, who knows where I'm going to end up because I want to find out what I want to do. Was it kind of like that? So I might spend more time.
Kind of. I did think I would go back to the US, but I didn't know what I was going to do. So
Hmm.
I was exploring, for example, law school
Hmm.
just because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of, yeah, I was definitely in a limbo. I would
Hmm.
say that kind of post graduation, what do I do with my life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what made you, while you were in Karlsruhe with the family, what made you then go for a master's or kind of look into that side of things?
Well, I think it's because I was looking at studying, but it was more that I was having such a great time, I didn't want it to end. And
Hmm.
Karlsruhe has a big university too, and
Hmm.
most of my friends that I'd made were studying there. And they kept telling me, yeah, but why don't you study? It's free. And I was like, no, it's free because you're German.
Hmm.
And they said, no, no, it's free for everyone. And then I ended up on this, I think it's the DAAD
Hmm.
website and kind of looking up programs and educating myself on what possibilities there were for me to stay and study in Germany. And
Yeah.
sure enough, there were like plenty of master's programs in particular where you could study in English and pay, at least at the time, I was paying, I think like 112 euros per
Oh, it's
semester.
it's crazy. It's completely ridiculous compared to what you what you pay in other countries. Um, so and actually this the DAAD, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes because that's a great resource, and that's the German University Exchange Program, something like that, but
Mhm.
rough translation. Can't think of a better one at the top of my head, but I think it's something that, well, more people are becoming aware of now, but not so long ago people didn't really know about this, being able to actually go and study somewhere else, because it's Germany, so you think, I don't speak German, I can't go to school there, but there you can, and there are ways. And so, yeah, well, How was your German at that point? Did you have to take any exams or?
So my German at that point was pretty bad, probably because the first year I was in Germany, I didn't take it very seriously because I thought I'll only be here a year and when am I going to use German? And every excuse all of the foreigners use.
Yeah, it's a tough language to pick up anyway, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of used this excuse for probably longer than I should have. And then in university, I could take German
Mhm.
classes as part of the curriculum. So I did do that there, but I found for me at least the classroom environment was not the right way to learn.
Mhm.
Um, because I think it's so focused on grammar, for example, and actually what you need to speak is a vocabulary. At the end of the day, the grammar can, I don't
Mhm.
know, come later. You can be understood without it. And so I found, yeah, other ways to pick up words and just learn to communicate and um, be on my own. But even today, still, I wouldn't call myself fluent. I can get around just fine, but it's not my language of choice. Still not any stretch of the.
Well, that's the trouble, isn't it, with German, because it takes so long to build the vocabulary and then to be brave enough to because I always feel like with English you can form sentences really quickly, so you can kind of make basic conversation, but with German it's just you have to have a lot of knowledge before you even open your mouth, and that's a really tough one. I'm always really glad that I didn't have to learn it as a foreign language. So I always feel for people who have and admire people who've picked it up and stuck with it.
It's intimidating. I mean, I just gave birth in German, which I feel like is a milestone of its own. You kind of pick up a vocabulary in all of these different
Hmm. Hmm.
scenarios. And now I have the pregnancy vocabulary,
So you
which
you
I
you
didn't have before.
so you probably don't really have that in English, right? So that's how I felt, because I gave
True,
birth I gave
true.
birth to my children in the UK, and I feel like I lack all the German terms for everything. And
Yeah, true. I didn't think about it that way, but I bet there are some terms I wouldn't be able to translate
yeah,
well.
yeah, we become masters of things that we never thought we would.
Exactly.
For
All
sure.
these interesting experiences
Hmm.
abroad, especially in other languages. I think that always adds to it.
Yeah. Anything you can think of?
Well, one of the funny things I remember is when it was really, I think, my first year in Germany, and I was out to eat, I think, at a winery or something, and the menu was all in German, and um, I wanted a salad, so I saw Wurstsalat on the menu, and in my head, I was like, okay, it's a salad with meat with wurst on it. And of course, the salad comes and it's sliced up bologna in a vinaigrette with no lettuce in sight. It's
No green
definitely.
anywhere in sight.
And so that was a shock, but sometimes that's also how you learn learn what things are. So
I always feel like you don't realize what you don't know, or you don't realize
yeah,
how
exactly.
things that you take for granted are just not the same. So basically you fell in love with Germany and kind of wanted to live there before you met your husband. So that's kind of, because very often, people move to another country because they fell in love with someone from that country, or they decide to move there together or something like that. So let's come to the fun part. How did you meet your husband?
So we met at work, so same employer, and we just happened to be in the same meeting that day. And I thought, oh, I've never seen this guy before. He's cute, but I'm sure he's married or in a relationship, whatever it is. So I tried not to get too excited about him. But then we actually ran into each other on the subway one day, and he was kind of flustered. And so I thought, okay, maybe there's something there. And he was asking me all of these questions, like, how long are you here? And oh, but you're on an expat contract. And I was like, no, I live here. I'm on a local contract. And I think it was kind of like taking him a while to navigate and pick up that no, I'm an American that actually lives here in Germany. Um, and so, yeah, I actually had just turned 30 and I was having a birthday party coming up. So I invited him to my birthday party, which was definitely like throwing him in the cold water because there were a lot of people there. But yeah, the rest is history. So we met at work and we still work at the same place, but luckily don't have any interaction actually at work. So it was really a fluke that we were in the same meeting. But yeah, so not anything too cute, just the classic work story.
But it sounds like he by asking you all this about, you know, your long-term plans, I mean, that's kind of going quite deep, right? Right at the beginning.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, retrospectively, it's like, okay, like were you already
This is
planning our life together? We haven't even met outside of work. Yeah,
doesn't
no, it's
surprise me
true.
though. It's kind of I mean, Germans have that reputation to kind of go deep early on, and not, you know, that kind of small talk, superficial thing doesn't really exist to the same extent that it does in this country. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, even this like DTR, define the relationship. In Germany, it's just kind of like you're together and no one really discusses it. And for me, at one point,
Oh, you,
actually his birthday was shortly after mine, and so I was going to his party, and I kind of said, okay, you know, who am I to your friends? And for him, it was such a non-question. Like, of course you're my girlfriend. I'm like, well, I didn't know I was your girlfriend. We haven't discussed this. I haven't said yes, I want to be
that's
your girlfriend.
that's such a, yeah, let's talk about that. Dating, like you said, it's kind of the US culture of meeting someone, and then while you kind of get to know each other, you're still also seeing other people.
Right.
And then it's like you said, it's this official, okay, well, are we going to the next level now? Are we going to be exclusive? And it just, this concept just doesn't, it's just very, very different in Germany. So I can imagine that if you're not aware of it, and that goes for him as well, he might not have realized that you were waiting for some official, I think we should be boyfriend and girlfriend now. And he probably just, it's just, yeah, just natural progression with, it doesn't need any words or any kind of label. But so how did you bring that up?
I think I was so aware of it at this point. I'd been in Germany long enough that I kind of knew, like, okay, even I think I knew the answer, but I still also wanted him to be culturally aware enough of my culture to
Yes.
understand that,
Yeah.
hey, this is for me an important conversation to have, and kind of put that out there early. And I'd also like learned from other relationships, like, okay, I'm just gonna, clear the air here, because it's true, like you said, in the US, typically people would like cast a wider net. So see what all the fish they can grab and then like pick one for dinner. And here it's just like you catch your fish and you have it for dinner until you don't want to anymore. I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. I do think the app culture has kind of changed the dating culture here. So I mean, what I hear from my single friends and stuff, it is a little different. But I would say that like quote milestones have way more importance in the US. So kind of hitting these like markers that make you feel like your relationship is progressing. Whereas here people will date for 10 years and like maybe have a child and like not care that much about the marriage, or I don't know, like the dog or whatever step that people take in the US. Whereas, yeah, the US is a kind of more normal, like milestone trajectory that everyone's like trying to check, check, check. Okay, now we can move to the next step.
Yeah, and it's kind of makes for different conversations, I think, in the different cultures. And it always amazes me how cultures that are essentially very similar sort of share the same values, more or less, compared to other cultures. And yet some things are just so different. So it's really interesting. I'm finding that now with because I have teenage daughters, and the way they handle their relationships is just it's just different to me to what I'm used to. So it's really interesting to see, because I can see them growing up in an American culture and they're influenced by that, and yet they also have my story and my influence in there as well. So they know what it's like in Germany, for example. And for them, it's just interesting. I love all those kind of deceptive
like high school
differences.
culture and stuff. I could probably
God,
relate to. Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole like podcast on it, I think.
And it's a really interesting thing. My niece is planning high school year in the US. This is something that a lot of German kids actually do. They go to high school in another country for a year, or 6 months or something. And so I really hope she'll do it, just because I'm so curious to hear about her experience and how she perceives it.
Yeah, I kind of got the view because when I was au pairing, actually one of the kids was older and he went to the US. So he had brought back his experiences from Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Which was really fun to hear about. And it was actually a true exchange. So the kid from Minnesota came to Germany. So it was very cool to witness. And at the time I also thought like, wow, I can't believe you send your 15-year-old or 16-year-old away for a year, like they're so young. And that was my very American head, because in Germany there's way more freedom for kids and kind of independence building, I would say.
Yeah, that's another interesting observation, and it's probably you'll have that experience as your son grows up, the way you parent him, and you probably will parent him in a more German way because of your environment, but at the same time you have your American values as well so that'll be a really interesting. Maybe we'll do another one in a few years time and see what because it's one of those things you don't really think about when you move to another country and another culture, how your local environment will affect you and your way of doing things.
Oh yeah, I mean, even when I showed up as an au pair, I kind of was like, okay, what are the rules here in this household? What are we kind of enforcing? And they kind of said, I mean, granted, they already had 4 kids, so they kind of relaxed, I would say, in the parent department. But they said, oh no, like whatever you feel is right. And it's like, huh, really? Because I was just so used to like growing up with kind of boundaries and structure. And maybe it's also because the US is less safe, I would say. So I wasn't like allowed to go to the mall alone as like a kid. Like it was a big milestone when I was allowed to go to the mall alone. And here you see, I don't know, a 6-year-old on the subway alone. And it's pretty shocking if you're coming from a city where you would never even step foot on public transit. So
it's like, why
sure.
is that? It's sometimes it's like, chicken and egg situation. It's like, why? I've always wondered, it's like, if you like Germany, I remember my niece going on a trip with her like preschool. She was like 2, and they would go away for a few days, and that's totally normal, and they just deal with it. And so the kids grow up with this sense of independence, and that and also, I don't know, is it they just learn to follow rules early and you don't have to worry? And why is it that here you can't send your kids out and it doesn't feel safe? What is it? It's
I don't know. I think partially it's the media and the stories. I mean, they're real things that happen.
That's the same.
I mean, there's all these
right? I mean,
famous kidnappings, don't get in the car with a stranger. It's true, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because I'm less like tuned into the news here, but I do feel like these kind of fear stories of like what could happen are just
Mm.
yeah, more frequent in the US. I don't know. I don't know. I do, even as a like adult woman, I do feel safer in Munich than I would in like Houston or Austin. Even like walking home alone at night, like this
Mm-hmm.
is probably not even something I would do in one of these cities,
Yeah.
and I'd also probably be in a car, but I mean, different scenario. But I feel like incredibly safe, walking through the city alone at night. And even, and growing up, for when I'm home, it's
Yeah.
always like, text me when you get home. Like someone's always kind of like making sure you make it, because there's always kind of
Mm-hmm.
some like worry about something that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also kind of like something I just like don't take for granted here, is like how safe I feel. And it's also, when
Mm-hmm.
I think about like my son being older and,
Yeah.
going out, I
Yeah,
would
I can
probably
I can I
feel
can see that.
that he is safer
I just still wonder
here doing that
why
too.
the general feeling is that, because you have things happen everywhere, and yet I don't know. I mean, I've had the experience that I've let my kids do things, or felt very German in that, oh yeah, they're old enough to do this, and then stuff did happen, and I was completely unprepared, because I was like, oh, I expect the kids to be like German kids, you know. It was really, and it's not, I don't even want to really generalize and say that all German kids are sensible and whatever, but it just I felt really like surprised that they didn't behave the way I expected them to behave. And it's a real kind of experience to go through, where you're like, okay, yeah, that's a different culture. It's a different culture. And you can't expect it to be the way you.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's so many things I think we could like try to pin on it, but yeah, it's really, um, yeah, it's really different. It is really different.
Mhm. Yeah. What what other differences have you observed, like that are really like that were really surprising? I mean, I guess you had some expectations of Germany and German culture, but is there anything that really surprised you?
Hmm. Um, I mean, actually, that was one of them, is like the freedom
Mhm.
that kids have. I mean, the biggest difference to me, like that I've personally felt, I guess, is this, like the free education, and then next to that, like the social system with healthcare. Um, I mean, especially in the US, like people like
Mhm.
demonize the social systems and what it would be like. But I've actually never had problems getting a doctor's appointment,
Mhm.
or even seeing a specialist. And the healthcare is incredible. Um, and to walk out of the hospital like without a bill.
Well, after giving birth, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like €0 have paid nothing. Um, it just
Mhm.
amazes me, because in the US it's really like, it's sad, people have like
Mhm.
cancers and terminal illnesses, and there's like GoFundMe campaigns to make sure that like they and their families can stay afloat, and that's just not something that
Yeah.
exists here, because they're taken care of. I mean, my mother-in-law had cancer for like 5 years and underwent clinical trials and everything, and they didn't have
Mhm.
to pay for this. And this is something that like can put your family under. So for me, even right now, like I'm electively in the public healthcare
Mhm.
system, so it could be privately insured, and I even work for a large insurance company. So it's actually kind of, some people would say it's crazy that I haven't moved to private insurance, but I really firmly like believe
Yeah.
in the public healthcare system, because yes, I'm paying a lot for my insurance out of my paycheck, but the fact that everyone has
Mhm.
insurance and is taken care of, I think it
Yeah.
just greatly like benefits society. And so I'm kind of like happy to support it, even though another big shock was like definitely the taxes here on the negative end of shocks. Um, but you do at least like
Yeah.
feel that your
You actually
taxes like
benefit
go
from
to
it and
something. You
directly.
can see the benefits.
Yeah. This is a never-ending topic, I guess.
Like all of them. Yeah.
And so Any German cliche that was confirmed for you, that, you know, anything where you were like, well, yes, here we are. This is exactly what I expected from Germany.
I would definitely say the car stereotype. So people, I mean, love their cars, and the no speed limit on the Autobahn, or at least parts of it, people go crazy for. So now they're discussing actually putting in the speed limit, and some people are really upset upset about it. So yeah, people really love their cars. For me, it was shocking that some people like might have a nice car and their home is not that nice. Because my priorities would be completely flipped. I much rather have like a nice apartment than a nice car. But here it's yeah, there's a lot of yeah weight or yeah given to the car. So yeah, people get really excited about their cars.
How do you find the lack of speed limit? How fast have you gone
just
yourself?
got a car for the first time since we had the baby, or it's the first time I've owned a car, but I've had a license here for quite some time. But I think I've just breached 200 kilometers an hour, whatever that is in miles per hour. But it depends on the car, because it's true, you can feel it. And so in like the cheap rental cars I get, you definitely feel 200, and in our new car with the baby, I have not reached that speed. But it's yeah, definitely can be scary. So you have to stay way out of the left lane. And it's even funny like learning the driving rules, because I mean, fortunately, when I got my license here, I could just transfer my one from Texas, so I didn't have to do any education or test around the German.
This is actually an interesting point, because I think Texas and Germany have that mutual agreement. It's the same thing. If you move to Texas from Germany, you can just have it changed into a Texan license. Whereas when I moved to California first, I had to do a whole test, including like written, practical, everything. But
I was lucky
Texas
there, because
have
one,
that.
it's so ridiculous that it's state by state, but yeah, so I didn't have to do it. But then also there's rules that you don't know. So for example, like even when I met my husband, he would tell me stuff and I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that. And there's so many things like this, Rex for links, like the right car goes before the left car.
Oh gosh,
because
yes.
there's intersections in Germany where there are no traffic signs. So you could have a four-way quote stop without any stop signs, and you just have to yield to the car on the right. But I didn't know this.
I even moving from California to Texas and then to New Jersey, I always try to read up on the different rules, because even within the US, there's different rules. And yeah, I was kind of grateful that I had to take the test in California, because I had to study the California highway code. And because you sometimes you're just not even aware of differences until you get to that situation. And that potentially so dangerous. And again, it's the things you don't know that you don't know. So
exactly, ignorance is not an excuse for the law. That's what I always learned.
No,
growing
absolutely.
up.
But then I mean, it probably helps to have a German partner with a lot of these things, because I think in an intercultural relationship, you always pick up on things that you might not pick up on if you were with someone from your own culture. Even if you move somewhere else, you don't notice so much. But if it's someone from that culture, you pick up on so much more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anything that you've learned from each other, something that you've picked up from him or that he's picked up from you?
I mean, I would say mostly like small things, but we definitely appreciate each other's culture. So for example, for me, he like loves like barbecue now, and like also like country music he listens to like solely because of me. So we have this like weird country music household in Germany.
Yeah.
And he also, for example, was always like very European in how he dressed. So he likes dressing nice and getting dressed up. And when the pandemic happened, and we weren't going to the office, I noted how ridiculous it was that he doesn't have any loungewear. Like he was wearing like real pants at our house all day, and I was like, no, you need some sweatpants. Like this is what people wear during home office. So kind of like this athleisure loungewear he had
Mm-hmm.
to adopt from me, and then from him I kind of picked up like road biking, and which like to me is like a very European hobby. Of course people like do it in the US, but not even close to
Yeah,
as much.
Texas, not. It's probably because it's too hot most of the year to do it. But I guess
Yeah,
growing
it's
up in
also just not very
Houston,
bike friendly.
yeah, there is that. I definitely notice it more here, and the culture up here is much more, bike friendly. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean Bavaria is probably one of the best places to go biking
Well,
in.
Bavaria is just the best anyway. So,
Oh, this is What's your favorite thing about Bavaria? Oh, yeah, I was going to say Germany, but let's say Bavaria.
definitely the location. So like the proximity to
Hmm.
the mountains and the lakes, and just generally like where it's located in Europe. It's so central. So
Hmm.
driving to Italy is, for example, really like, close. Going skiing is very
Hmm.
easy. But then also I love that it's culturally rich. So um, it is like the Texas of Germany, or yeah, Texas is the Bavaria of the US, however you want to say it. But for example, I love that when you come to Bavaria, you kind of expect to see people in this track, these Dirndls and lederhosen, and then you get here and it's not necessarily like that. But then, once a year at
Hmm.
the Oktoberfest or the Volksfest, everyone's in it or for some special occasions. And it's kind of the same in Texas. You expect everyone in the cowboy get-ups or Western wear, and you don't see it every day. But then when you do, it's kind of fun, and everyone in Bavaria thinks it's the best state, and I definitely believe that too. And it's the same in Texas. Everyone's very proud of Texas, and
Yeah.
so I think there's also just these similarities and parallels that I can draw that like make me feel super at home, and I really can't like imagine living in another state anymore. I mean, I did live in Baden-Württemberg, which
Hmm.
was still south though, so
Hmm.
I still got to benefit from a lot of like the southern
Yeah.
things. But yeah, there's just I would definitely say, yeah, just the location. It's so beautiful, and you can really like enjoy nature
Hmm. And people, yeah,
regularly.
and people do. I always love how um all the ages are out on the roads in Germany. You kind of see like young kids by themselves. You see very active older people out on their bikes, and I love that. It's definitely part of the culture very much. But I love that you're saying that Texas is like the Bavaria of the US, or yeah, Bavaria is like Texas in terms of the culture, and it's definitely something I resonated with completely when we were in Texas. Just when people, and it's not even that maybe the cultures are similar, but the fact that there's that pride and that I'm Texan before I'm American sort
Yes,
of
that
mentality
is true.
where a lot of people, well, a lot of Americans struggle with, and they kind of like, oh, the Texans, they just think they're special and whatever. And I could completely understand where that, how that happened and that attitude, because I felt like the Bavarians are exactly the same. It's that,
Yeah,
no, this is,
and
and the also the like the cowboy boots and all that. You do see that. I mean, people wear boots, and it's not ironic or in any way kind of being dressy or dress up, playing dress up. No, this is just part of, and it's you wear it with pride, and
wardrobe standard.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah. And I just, because when I first moved there, I was like, oh my God, is this really, and then I realized it's exactly the same. And when I go to Germany, and there's some festival or Oktoberfest or whatever, and people get out all their special clothing for that, and it's not meant to be a like, oh, I'm just doing this ironically. It's no, it's just, it's the way it is, and people enjoy showing it all off, and I love that. Yeah. Do you own a dirndl?
Yes, actually a couple, and I'm thinking, do I need a new one this year? Um, no, it's so fun to wear them, and it's very flattering. So you feel super beautiful in them. And I mean, I love
Yeah.
the fest season,
Yeah.
so I get really into it for sure.
Are you planning on going to Oktoberfest this year?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's the first time in a few years.
Yeah.
I guess everyone can debate what a good idea it is to
Yeah.
have it, since um, for the listeners, people, they call it the Wiesngrippe, which is basically like the Oktoberfest flu, because everyone gets sick during Oktoberfest season anyway. Before COVID, this was already a thing, so it will definitely be interesting. But yeah, I we already have a couple of tables booked, and I'm,
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
pretty excited to go. And we even have little lederhosen for our
This
babies.
this
So
was going to be my next question. Does your son already have his first lederhosen?
he does.
Is
He
that
had them before he was born. It was like the second I found out he was a boy, this was the
of
first purchase.
of course. And what about your Tracht? What about boots? Do they all have cowboy boots? Does your husband have boots?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, that
of
was
course he does.
also, I don't think it was the first time in Texas,
Hmm.
because I was kind of actually telling him to hold off a bit, that he should at least see how people wear them, kind of, get a feel for like what a cool boot is and how you can
Hmm.
wear different boots. But yes, now he does own them.
Fabulous. Yeah, I do too. I think I have about 5 pairs, I think. But
Oh, wow, that's
yeah,
more than
well,
I have.
I always liked them. Even like growing up in Germany, I had a real thing for them. So when I moved there, I was like, yes, now I'm going to indulge. So,
Now I can wear them
so
every day.
yeah, I wouldn't go as far as wearing my dirndl with them, but that would be
I thought about that actually. I really did, because I was like, they'd be good like
right.
footwear actually with the dirndl, and like your feet would be
Absolutely.
protected.
Hmm.
Yeah, actually on my old blog that doesn't exist anymore, but my really old one, that was actually my logo, was like a cartoon of
Hmm.
me in a dirndl with cowboy boots.
Yeah. Well,
And it
maybe.
looked cute in the cartoon. I
Hmm.
haven't tried it in real life, but
Hmm. Maybe we should re-establish that idea. I kind of like it. Who knows? Yeah. Watch this space. Well, so you're mentioning your blog. Are you still active on it? And if so, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I actually do have a new blog, and I hope to blog more during my maternity leave, although that
Hmm.
hasn't really happened yet. We're still settling in a bit, but
Yeah, great idea.
because I do have a lot of experiences that I actually just think are really helpful
Hmm.
um, for people. So that blog is called Duck Creek Street. Um, and then my, yeah, Instagram handle is just a butsy, less knowledge sharing there, more just random life things. But
And
um,
beautiful, beautiful pictures of Bavaria. I
that is,
love looking at your site just to kind of go, oh yeah.
yeah, that is true. I try to take pictures when we get
Hmm.
out of the house,
Yeah,
which is frequent enough, in all
yeah.
fairness.
Well, I'll put all the links in the show notes, and even if there's nothing, happening with the blog yet, but who knows, you might at some point inspiration might strike and you'll just sit down and
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the list of like ideas to blog
mhm.
about is very long. So, it's just
Yeah,
gotta.
just make notes from time to time, or I leave myself like voice memos where if I have an idea or something, and then I find these random notes to myself like 2 years
That
later,
I
and I'm like,
like.
what the hell was that? So when you say you just really love where you are and the location of it and the beauty of it and all that, but and of course, on Instagram everything always looks pretty and nice, but I'm sure there are moments where things are not so great and where you kind of miss home and miss things from home. Is is there anything that you really don't like about Germany, or things that really annoy you sometimes where you're like, why can't it be different?
Yes, and in all fairness, like it's things that annoy my like husband too. So, but for example, like the lack of digitalization. So many things are still paper based. And for example, our son was born almost a month ago, and we still don't have his birth certificate, which is actually really annoying because it hampers us from doing like all sorts of other processes that we need to go through, like getting him passport so we can travel. And
Yeah.
so for example, this, the hospital was like, yeah, just go online. So we went online, and then the agency emailed us to mail things in. And we're like, why did we even start this process online? And I feel like this is just like a constant thing. And this kind of also feeds into sometimes in Germany, I just wonder, like, do these businesses even want to make money? Like sometimes, I mean, this is like definitely my American perspective coming in, but like the opening hours are so short. Like if you're a working person, especially in Bavaria, the supermarkets close at 8. So it's like
Yeah.
hard to get groceries sometimes. Like if you're at work and then have to commute home and then I don't know, like pick up a kid on the way. I don't know. I mean, or if you go to the gym after work, for example, like it's already 8 o'clock, like, and then you can't get groceries, which is a task that is kind of important. Um, or like the service culture is just terrible. This kind of also goes into, does anyone want to make money? Like it's just yeah, if you need any sort of customer service, it's not, the customer is always right or very friendly here. These people hate their jobs, and you can feel that in
Yeah.
in the call. So this is the kind of stuff that like can be hard, especially when you're a foreigner trying to speak the local language. And if someone's rude to you, it stings extra. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's extra like hurtful in a way because you don't know if it's like you like speaking the language poorly or if it's just them
Yeah.
being like angry to be angry. You don't know. Those are just kind of like the things that come up more regularly, I would say.
I think those things, there's whole blogs written about rudeness of customer service, and but yeah, Germans are annoyed by that as well.
Yeah.
So, and then what do you miss? What do you really miss about Texas or about the US other than customer service?
Yeah. So the first thing I always do when I come home is go get Tex-Mex, so like fajitas, margaritas, chili con queso. I just like love Tex-Mex food. So um,
And
that's
it's
something I really
good.
miss.
It's so good. I missed it up here as well. I totally miss
Yeah,
it.
it's true. I mean, even in other parts of the US, like you can't get the same quality. And it's really a whole
Absolutely.
experience, like Friday night at a Mexican restaurant. It's just, it's like
People are
really
always
good.
so dismissive of Tex-Mex, and it's no, it's really good. It's a real thing, and if it's done well, it's so good. It's just, yeah. God,
Yeah.
my mouth is watering just thinking about it.
Yeah. So that's like one of the big things. And then another thing I miss is just like the space. Like I like big houses and bigger cars and stuff. I think space is like really nice. And if you've had it before and then have less space, you really notice
Yeah.
what's missing. So yeah, it's kind of a big adaptation to, I don't know, like live in closer quarters, also with your neighbors closer quarters. It's very up
Yeah, for
close and
sure.
personal with the neighbors here in Germany sometimes. Um, but yeah, and I also like miss the grocery stores, like just kind of like these one-stop great shops in the US where you can like get everything at the quality you want. Shout out to HEB.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Now I'm starting to really miss it. Yeah.
So yeah, those are just like, I don't know. It's mostly little stuff. Obviously, like the people I miss too. And I think raising a child, it will change a lot because there's so many things about my childhood that I revere. Probably maybe more than I need to because I was like a child and I just have these great memories. But I think also like one things I think I'll miss for our son are like school sports. I think that's like a really cool part of like the US
Mm-hmm.
cultures, playing on a team for your school and having your classmates root you on, and also like summer camp. I went to summer camp every summer and for a month in the Texas Hill
You know,
Country, and I just loved it.
you'll end up sending your son to US summer camp.
I hope so, but I don't know if it works with like the summer school schedule because the summer
Oh,
is so
because you're in
much
Bavaria.
later here.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's true. Because in Bavaria, the summer they just started last
Yeah,
week or
exactly.
so, right?
Yeah, it's like
And
big vacation time
here
now.
it's back to school.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
yeah.
true. You're gonna have
Maybe it
to
shifts, I don't know, but
you're gonna have to figure that out because I think that would be an amazing experience for him.
right, right.
Oh yeah, but it's true. So you'll experience a lot of that. When your own childhood memories come up that you want to share with your son, and it's yeah, you're gonna find a way of doing that.
Yeah. I think it's also like we can do the best of both worlds in a way. So it's kind of like this Chrismukkah experience. Like we just
Yes,
blend the holidays, we
yeah,
blend the cultures and
yeah.
try and pick what we love of both. So
Yeah,
I hope we can do that.
and have the grandparents involved, and in the whole cultural experience. I mean, God, I mean, don't want to say I was annoyed, but I remember flying to Germany with my little ones, and my parents would be there with the pretzels, holding the pretzels. Like the first thing they need to eat is a pretzel. Like,
Oh, that's so
okay, calm
cute.
down. They will. But now I can see how for my parents it was really important as well to kind of this is this needs to be part of you as well. It's not some strange tradition. This is in you as well. So I like with hindsight appreciated it much more. So how have your parents taken to you living so far away? Have they been over to visit?
Yes, they've been to visit and they really like it. And they like my husband too, which helps. So they, they feel better about me being here. But no, we have a pretty good rhythm. So we've been going to the US twice a year or so. And it's great having the German vacation days because we have time
Mhm.
um, to make the trip. And I hope we can continue that. But yeah, we've made it work pretty well. And yeah, they have the view as long as I'm happy. That's what's most important. So happy, healthy, all of those things, then
Yeah, absolutely. But
it's good. But I definitely have to FaceTime frequently. That's
Mhm.
the rule. So especially now that the baby's here, daily FaceTimes.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely. So what about your husband? When was the first time he came with you to the US?
That's actually a good story because we actually couldn't go to the US with him for a while because of COVID, because he was not allowed in when we were not married.
Oh,
Um,
oh yes, forgot that like the early COVID. Oh,
yeah, and it was actually in place for a, over a year,
mm,
this rule that
yeah.
foreigners were not allowed to enter the US. And we were planning, or we were engaged, and we were planning to marry with our wedding in May 2021. Yeah, your face says it all. Yes, so that didn't happen. But so we decided actually to do our civil wedding earlier so that he could come to the US with me because marriage to an American
Mhm.
citizen was an exception for entry. So we did the civil wedding, and then finally, after our wedding ultimately didn't happen because in May 2021 there were still very strict rules, at least here in Bavaria. Um, we got to go to the US in June of 2021, and it was a whole like we tried to do it all. So
So that was
we
his
met
first time in
friends.
Texas.
Yeah, and we were married at this point. So none of my most of my friends, except for a couple who had happened to visit here.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, my parents had met him too, but otherwise it was like everyone had to meet him. So it was just a whirlwind of like traveling and party after party after party, just trying to introduce him to everyone, and it was so much fun, and it's still such special memories, like looking back on the photos and all of the things we did, and him getting to meet everyone. And I think actually the buildup of all of it and
Mhm.
just having to get through it made it all the more special. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I don't know, it's everything we'd hoped for and more by the
Mhm.
time it came. So I often like try to have low expectations because I'm worried that they won't be fulfilled, but I had high expectations
Yeah.
and it was really everything and more.
That
So
sounds so amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So any plans to at some point relocate to the US, or it's not something that's
No, actually, we would like to. Actually, I think my husband wants to even more than I do
Mhm.
sometimes, because he wants this experience that I have, where life is kind of exciting and you get to explore a new place. So we would like to do it, but now that we have a child, I want him to remember it if we do go live there. Like I want him to feel a bit American too,
Mhm.
selfishly. So I think if we do it, it'll be I don't know, still in some years ahead, so that
Mhm.
yeah, he can actually remember
Yeah.
it and make special memories and even like friends in the US that he could then like go back
Yeah.
and visit on days too. Or maybe we'd go and stay. I have no idea. It's way too hard to predict, but we would definitely like to do it as a family for
Mhm.
sure.
I think it's nice for a family with more than one culture to experience each other's if it's at all possible. And it all depends on so many things, right? Health and jobs and whatnot. But definitely but I mean for a child even to just grow up with two languages is fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm already like scared of the day where he won't want to speak English to me because I know a lot of the kids go through this phase.
And you just
Uh,
you just never know. They're all different. They all do it in different ways, and you might. I mean, I've two, and they're completely different in their approach to it. And it's a gift. It's really fun, even if it's not perfect. But it's just, they can do it. You can do it,
yeah, no, definitely we will.
and just that sense of reading a bedtime story to your child in your own language is just, yeah. It's that alone is like worth the pain of it, and I would say
Oh.
so.
We did get a lot of English books
Mhm.
while we were in the US last time. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have a stock.
As long as your whole environment is open to it and happy with it, it's, yeah, definitely give it a shot. Um, so if you wrote a letter to your 18-year-old self and told her about your life now, what do you think she would say? Would she think, "Wow, you've changed"?
I must have, but it's also so in line with growing up that it's probably hard to differentiate. But my 18-year-old self would definitely be shocked at my life now. That is 100% true because I think my 18-year-old self like wanted to move on a farm in Texas, and I don't know.
Well, there's still time. There's still time
That
for
is
that.
true.
Who knows?
It still doesn't sound that bad, actually.
Yeah, you never know. It'll be interesting. Well, I'll touch base in a few years and we'll see where you're at.
Cool.
So it was really lovely talking to you.
Yeah, I
But
really
before we
enjoyed
get
it.
kicked out by Zoom again, I just
Mhm.
wanted to ask my last question. Um, and I always ask this at the end, all my guests, is there anything special that you do when you're really homesick, when you really want to feel that connection to home? Any tradition, any recipe that you make?
Yeah, so it's definitely Tex-Mex. So I actually have this on my blog about how I make Tex-Mex here in Germany because some of the ingredients are harder to come by. But I would make a full fajita spread with margaritas and definitely with queso. Uh, This is 100% what I would do, and maybe also watch an American football game or University of Texas game in particular. Those are a couple of things that I would do just to feel that sense of home.
Yeah. Oh my God, you've got to get your son a Hookem hat and shirt and everything.
Oh, I already have it. Already.
Of course you do.
Luckily, I got some hand-me-downs from some other college friends who had sons too.
Very good. Yeah. Getting on a it's I know they play American football in Munich as well.
Yeah, the Cowboys, the Munich
There
Cowboys.
we go.
Yeah, this is actually a funny last note. So the first time this year, there will be an NFL game in Munich.
Oh.
At Allianz Arena, and it's November 11th, and the tickets went on sale July 19th. I know that because it's my son's birthday, and I had a reminder in my calendar at 9 a.m. or I think it's 10 a.m. actually that tickets go on sale. And so I was in labor.
Busy giving birth.
Like literally giving birth. And I'm like, me and my husband on our phones, like logging onto the site to try and buy tickets to this NFL game in Munich. Also, so we can take our son who wouldn't remember, but it would still be fun. And and we were number 600,000 something in the queue. So we had no chance. So apparently there is some major interest in Germany to go to an NFL game because this was, outrageous. So we didn't get tickets, but maybe we still,
God, you should have been moved to number one slot for
I know there was no like check a box if you're in labor, but
I'm just trying to imagine you. Anyway, that's a good story. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Making the time, and have a lovely evening, and I hope you have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day too. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex, for this great conversation, and thanks for making me miss not only one but two places. I absolutely miss Texan food. Just talking about it made my mouth water, and maybe I need to get Alex to reveal her secret to making queso. I don't know. If you've ever had queso, good queso, you know what I'm talking about. It's this amazing, gooey, delicious cheese dip that's, if you've had a really good one, you will never accept anything less, and it's really tricky to make yourself. So all my previous attempts have failed, but it's one of those things, people have secret recipes that they will never share. So who knows, maybe I'll just need to experiment more. This chat was so much fun. As I said at the beginning, I always like to connect with people who live in places that I know, and it's just so wonderful to hear someone absolutely love a place that is close to my heart. And if you happen to go to Oktoberfest this year and you see someone wearing a dirndl and cowboy boots, well, you know who it is. Alex, if you're listening, I think you should do it. I would kill for a photo of you wearing that. And I think it's such a good idea. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And please don't forget to leave a 5-star review so that more people find this podcast and we can share more of our expat stories. If you want to be a guest on this show, then please get in touch and we can set something up. I'd love to have you. And if you are interested in finding out more about me and my story, then hop on over to my website. I've put the link in the show notes. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the rest of your summer or winter, depending on where you are. And